Hello ladies and gents, and welcome to CG Reaction, and this is Top 10 Worst Animal Skeletons by the channel Nella Academy. I reacted to quite a few Sam videos already, so if you haven't seen them, check them out. I created a playlist for it. Check out the cards, check out the end cards, I guess. Check out the link in the description for all of my videos if you haven't seen them. And yeah, like and subscribe if you like my reaction and support this channel. So yeah, Top 10 Worst Animal Skeletons. Well, I don't know any worst animal skeletons, but if having no bones and no skeletons consider worst animal skeletons, then I guess squids would win it, wouldn't they? Because squids are just weird, especially after knowing that the deepest part of the sea, like in Mariana's Trench and things like that, you know, there are giant squids and things like that. That's just, that just weirded me out. That's the case with all the sea creatures. Biggest ever animals ever existed are in the sea, like the great white whale and things like that. And God knows what kind of bigger giant creatures are even deeper parts of the sea that we haven't seen it yet. Because the deeper you go inside the sea, oxygen level increases, and if the oxygen level increases, creatures gets bigger. Basically, that's what it is. So God knows what kind of creatures are down there. Even the smallest creatures that we know of in the sea, there could be giant version of them deep inside the sea. That's just ridiculous. So yeah, I don't know what Sam's going to say, but obviously it's going to be awesome, because top 10 worst animal skeletons. Who covers things like that? Only Sam. So let's watch it.
This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Hey kids, as we all know, the evolution of species is an incredible process, driven by little more than the random chance that certain mutations may happen to provide a practical advantage in a creature's environment. And as a result, there's a lot of things out there that look super dumb once you strip back a few layers. Here's the top 10 worst animal skeletons of all time. So first and foremost, I'd like to settle a little debate I've been seeing floating around the past few weeks. Yes, penguins do, in fact, have knees, but in order to hide full-grown legs into one plump cylinder, you gotta have a little skeletal trickery on your side. You guys ever do wall sits in gym class or elsewhere? One of the most torturous exercises out there. I now feel even worse for penguins, because not only did they have to deal with living in a frigid black and white hellscape, the most hostile environment known to man second only to the vacuum of space, all the while constantly pursued by ravenous bloodthirsty sea dogs, but they're also secretly doing wall sits their entire life. Quick side note, in Mandarin, the word for penguin consists of the characters for business goose, which is fucking hilarious. Like one day a goose put on a suit and said, "Today it is time to make a name for myself, honk." This next guy is known as Parsons chameleon, found in the more remote regions of Madagascar. Notice the fleshy protuberances around its nose area. Turns out, not fleshy, not even remotely fleshy, not even one flesh. Instead, it just has a skull forever frozen in time in the middle of exploding, like it sneezed right in the middle of God shaping it out of clay, and he was just like, whatever, it's a feature now. So for that, this rough-headed reptilian gets number 9. Normally
there must be a reason for it, or it's just there random. Because before I used to think evolution, whatever something happens in your body, usually it's because there's a reason for it. But the more and mostly by Sam videos and lots of other sources, I've seen things that, that doesn't make sense. So evolution is not always because it makes sense. It's something that just exists, I guess. And some things are even disadvantages for, animals. So I don't know if there is any reason for this, just there, I guess.
I would have ranked it higher, but that's a dope tale, so he gets some pity points. Yeah. Next is the pufferfish. So for most of my life, I pictured pufferfish as just not having any bones. I know it doesn't really make sense, but neither does them turning into a balloon like a goddamn card.
When I was a kid, I thought that too, like they don't have any bones or something. They're just like weird, sponge-like thing that just gets bigger to scare off other fish. But along the way I realized that they do have skeletons, but they're weird, like suspension type thing, expands and contract, weird bones.
Turns out, in their normal state, they actually look like this, and when they inflate, those concentric rings of spine slide outwards past one another to cover the full area, like the aperture of a camera lens expanding to cover the full frame of the fish. The sheer ingenuity of this design has shattered my childhood dream of real-life balloon animals, which has earned the pufferfish the number 8 spot on.
This is ridiculous, isn't it? Only reason why pufferfish puff like that is to scare off other, creatures. So basically, evolution evolved this whole skeleton in a way so it can be used as a scare tactic. That's just ridiculous when you think about it. I mean, usually when bodies, the way they design is usually for the body functions. not for psychological warfare for other fish. This is awesome.
On this list. Now, if you've gotten around to certain zoological circles, you've been shown this skull and been told, ah yes, that comes from the dwarf elephant. Oh, you've never seen one? That's because they're extinct. And that thing in the middle? Ah yes, nothing more than the nose hole to which the trunk connects. However, if you're a rational, free-thinking adult like me, you can look past the lies spoon-fed to you by Nat Geo and other liberal media outlets and see this for what it is. A cyclops. Next is the orca.
Ah, yes. Yes, I mean, who's gonna believe a stupid dwarf elephant like they're real? I mean, who would think that? Cyclops, now that's from the Greek mythology, and we know that's true. So, what is more likely? I think Cyclops is more likely, definitely.
Otherwise known as the killer whale, the panda torpedo, or the SeaWorld slave. Its skeleton is fairly normal at first glance, but check out this little thing under here. That little bony blip is actually all that remains of the legs and pelvis of the orca from when it evolved from land mammals. Personally, I think that's highly disrespectful to their ancestors. Like, they could have taken the seal route and used those legs for good in the water, but instead these sea cowards said, no thanks, we're gonna undo all that evolution and just be bigger, smarter, warmer fish again. But hey, we'll keep this little piece of nothing just to remember you guys by. Truthfully, I could have chosen almost any cetacean to pick on for this, but the orca's face also reminds me of SCP-682, which is the most OP.
Alright, man of culture right there. Sam likes SCP. Who'd have thought? This is awesome. Man, I really want to see Sam making SCP videos now. I know he's not gonna do it, but it would be so awesome. This is awesome.
Overrated shit out there, so he gets the number 6 spot. Moving on, now bear with me here. In every other mammal on Earth, the canine teeth point downward from the gum to the mouth. You know, like a tooth. But this guy, known as the Babirusa, said, "Huh," and decided to have them grow up through the entirety of its fucking snoot and out the other end, which is the most nonsensical thing I've ever seen. Like, toenails out the front? How cliche. Let's make them go through the whole foot instead.
Oh,
look, now I can kick good behind me. That's not
fuck.
all though. These tusks also keep growing for the creature's entire life, which isn't a problem in and of itself, right? Rodents, they keep chewing stuff to wear them down. Alligators, they just let them fall out now and then. But the Babirusa's like, I'll just nut in a lady pig long before this becomes an issue. So if it lives long enough, the teeth can curve right on around and slowly bore into the thing's face, like built-in Chinese bamboo torture. And occasionally, they can end up actually piercing the skull and shish kebabbing the brain. Now,
What the hell? How are these things not extinct? Oh, because it takes a long time, so they breed before they die. But it's still effed up, man. Holy shit, this is an actual issue. Man, I always used to think evolution has done something in a way that, you know, basically everybody's functions properly, I guess. Their body functions properly. Because somebody's body didn't function properly, they went extinct. That was my mentality. Seeing more Sam videos, I start to realize there are some creatures that is just sad, man. I mean, look at that. This thing just waiting for its own tooth to stab him in the head. So he would die. This is just effed up, man. Damn.
some people might say that this doesn't belong on this list, given that teeth aren't technically bones. And to those people, kids, we say, eat shit and die. Next, we have the octopus. The octopus skeleton is so bad that it doesn't even exist. Sure, they got this little thing in the middle, but that doesn't count, that's just chitin. And yeah, they can get in a jar or whatever, but at what cost? At the animal picnics, the crowd shouts, "Bleh, shun the spineless freak." And at the animal wheelbarrow races, with nothing to grab hold of, the cephalopod holds a solitary vigil at the starting line. And lo, the octopus wins naught but a participant medal at the Grand Prix, and the number 4 spot on this list. Moving on, here's the skeleton of a fruit bat. Now, not a big deal to us regular folk.
Yeah, that is awesome. Just like squid though, in the sea, you know, bones are not that important at certain times, and it can even be advantageous towards you. So yeah, I know there are giant squids, you know, in marine restaurants and things like that. You know, there are also, you know, weird shark and type of creatures too. Are there giant, you know, the octopuses down there? I don't know that. There must be, I guess. If there are giant squids, why wouldn't there are giant octopuses?
But imagine if humans had no context of bats and they dug this thing up. Like, class, archaeologists have recently found these fossilized remains, and using modern technology, we can see exactly what it would have looked like back when it was alive. This abominable creature is known only to scientists as Finger Boy, and is theorized to have fed upon fruit, insects, and the dreams of orphans, which it would siphon out from the ears of the errant little waifs whilst they slumbered. By the way, if you Google image bat skeleton...
Alright, that is a joke, obviously. But, you know, that is so close to reality, it's just ridiculous. I mean, if the bats weren't around, and somebody did dig out skeletons of bats like that, they would think that something like this existed, and people would make, you know, folklore to scare kids. I mean, this might be a joke, but it's a pretty accurate one. Well, look at that. Okay, this is just a skeleton. Look at that, man. I mean, you know, when they're covered in flesh, I mean, it doesn't look this bad. But seeing this, looks like, oh, that's damn a hellspawn or something. Look at the way their, you know, fingers and everything is.
What it would have and is theorized to have fed upon fruit, insects, and the dreams of orphans, which it would siphon out from the ears of... Half of them have the ears built in, just slumbered. By the way, if you Google image bat skeleton, like, more than half of them have the ears built in, just like, I feel the extraordinarily bat-like wings and figure of our decoration are much too subtle for our consumers. Better slap these on. At number 2, we have the anteater. From its oboe-like skull to its gorilla fist and hands, one can only wonder who let this creature exist. Fun fact, if you take the anteater's skull and blow into its nose, it plays a beautiful song recounting the animal's entire life, and then security escorts you out of the museum. Looking at this, I can only pose the question asked for generations long before my own. That being, why the long face? Before we get to the number 1 spot, here's a few honor...
Sam's pun sometimes hurts a lot. Anteater is weird, isn't it? It's just really specific. The way its mouth is, can only eat ants, I guess. Hence the anteater. It's really specific.
Mentions: the wolf eel, the ostrich, this human-cat hybrid I found on a tabloid site,
yes,
and of course, the mermaid. So at our number 1 spot, we have this creature. That's supposed to be a mirror. I know most of you can't see yourself in it on account of your filthy Dorito-smeared screen, so just take my word for it. So what's wrong with humans, you ask? Well, a lot of things, but for now, let's stick to the skeleton. First off, these bones right here, these are known as the metatarsals. All part of the foot, right? No, that's a bunch of primate propaganda. In most other groups of land mammals, what we'd consider our ankles is actually the quote-unquote knee of the animal. Thanks a lot, walking upright. Also, it's estimated that around 80% of people will experience chronic back pain at some point in their life. Thanks a lot, walking upright. Lastly, probably something you've heard about at some point are...
I mean, back pain is mostly because of, you know, becoming fat, isn't it? You know, big tummy that causes lots of back issues. I'm pretty sure if you stay lean and fit, you won't have back issues. I mean, that's not sure completely. There are other reasons that would cause you to have back issues. But all things considered, you probably won't have it if you're not, you know, really fat around the stomach area. So, yeah, but... in all, I mean, you know, by skeletons goes, human skeletons are I guess the best skeletons because opposing thumbs. That's why we are who we are. So, you know.
Skull to pelvis ratio. For most animals, giving birth, not a big deal. Small heads, wide hips, mazel tov. But check out the big brain on Brett.
Oh, yeah.
Throws a real monkey wrench in the works there. For a while, it led to some problems till those extra brains figured out how to work around it. So
oh God, yeah, that is so true, isn't it? Not just this past 2 centuries, long ago, that was a massive issues. You know, a woman about to give birth, there is a high chance the woman will die. That is so effed up to think about. I mean, you grow up, you know, you marry to someone, then there is a, you know, big fear inside you. Like, if you give birth to somebody, there's a high chance you're gonna die. I mean, that mentality is just ridiculous. I can't wrap my head around it. Like, when you're growing up, you know there is a good chance you'll live, but there's also a high chance you probably won't be. So, you know, this is the best example of why, you know, medical science is really, really important. Where people are, you know, basically shoving that aside. People are saying vaccines are not good, this is not good. Really, man? Have you seen what used to happen a few centuries ago? Damn.
I guess you win this round, humans, but that doesn't stop you from also winning the number 1 spot on the worst skeletons of all time. But hey, just cause you'll forever be flawed on the inside, doesn't mean you can't improve yourself on the outside. That's why you need to try Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with over 25,000 classes and...
even that is kind of true, isn't it? The joke he made. I mean, you can change whatever your flaws are from the inside, but people do change their flaws from the outside. Plastic surgeries, working out all the time, specifically hitting certain muscles, they would look good in the Instagram photos or something like that. So even that joke is kind of true. Sam's jokes are kind of hitting really close to home, man. All right. This was a good video, man. Yeah, people go to skillset.com/salmonella7 and support that channel. Sam is a really good creator. There is not a single channel out there who's even close to this, the content he make. So yeah, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Support this channel and check out the other reaction I did. There's a link in the description, and I'll see you next time.